Thanks, everybody. My name is Tye Menser, running for Board of County Commissioners, District 3. I'm running as a Democrat. I'm running to bring balance and critical thinking back to our county commission. I believe Thurston County is a special place built on its diversity. Diversity of its landscapes, diversity of its people. Yet we have 3 county commissioners from the same background who bring the same perspective to tough problems. As a result, the board loses critical thinking and we don't get the creative solutions that our county needs. I'm running to change that. If elected, I would bring a wealth of educational, personal, and professional experience to this job. I have an undergraduate degree in government from Harvard. I have a law degree from the University of California, Berkeley. I've had a 20-year legal career with a focus on criminal defense. Important in that 3/4 of our county's general fund budget relates to law and justice. I've spent the biggest part of my legal career in public service as a public defender. I spent 7 years in northern Alaska, representing the interests of indigenous peoples living above the Arctic Circle and throughout interior Alaska, and developing a deep and abiding respect for wilderness and open spaces. I learned Spanish and studied abroad in Mexico, Chile, and Argentina. And as a law student, I was involved with Salvadoran refugees, helping them with political asylum applications. I spent 3.5 years on the county's Water Conservancy Board, involving extensive training in Washington's complex water law. And finally, I was raised with working class values by 4 public school teachers. That's right, 4. My parents were teachers, and they divorced when I was 2, and they pretty instantly remarried other public school teachers. My wife is a public school teacher. My mother-in-law is a public school teacher. My dad was a teachers union president in the 1980s. I mention this because it's reflective of the values that I would bring to my work as a county commissioner. If elected, I want to get our county's finances back on track. We've spent through our rainy day fund. County government is squeezed, but whereas previous commissioners built up our funding reserves, the current board has simply spent through them. We need long-term financial planning. We can also address our budget issues by looking at our biggest budget area, law and justice. Our current commissioners want to expand the jail and fired our county's most passionate advocate for restorative justice, the head of the Public Defender Agency. That is the wrong approach. I will work with courts, prosecutors, public defense, corrections, and law enforcement to implement restorative justice approaches, find efficiencies and cost savings, reduce recidivism, and make our communities healthier and safer for less money. Second, I want to build partnerships with our cities to address a range of key regional issues, such as affordable housing, mental health services, substance abuse treatment, and rising poverty. We know that poverty among households in our county, in households with children, has spiked over the last 2 years. This is unacceptable. When the federal government is moving us backwards on every single issue that we care about, it is imperative that our local governments work together and build relationships to move aggressively forward to solve problems. Solutions have to start here in Thurston County. Finally, we want to protect our open spaces, our water, and our agricultural land, so we have to make smarter land use decisions. I want to put a focus in this campaign on clean water. Bud Blake's record on clean water is abysmal, and I don't have time to lay out all the reasons, but hopefully we'll get to that in this forum. But we need to strike the right balance between property rights and conservation to retain the distinctive character of our county as we continue to grow. With your help, I will address these issues head on and help prepare Thurston County for a healthy, predictable future. You will have a progressive voice back on your county commission and a passionate advocate for sound financial management, collaborative problem solving, and careful stewardship of our natural resources. Again, my name is Tye Menser. I'm asking for your vote. Thanks for having me here. I want to look at the county budget, and I kind of outlined that in my opening remarks. I want to do that with some long-term financial planning, and I want to look at the law and justice budget and implement reforms that are going to save us money. Investments now, save money later. That's in fundamental principle of my thinking. A second issue is building partnerships with cities on these key issues. A lot of them are social issues. Let's just take housing, for example. We all know how important housing is. We all know how much it's been debated across our county. It connects so closely to crime. It connects so closely to mental health. It connects so, at a recent mental health forum, for example, I learned that mental health treatment can't really even get started if someone doesn't have a stable place to sleep, because that's the fundamental beginning of mental health treatment, is getting on a stable sleep routine. So housing connects to so many of these issues that I want to make a commitment to that issue, county-wide, working with our cities, which is not happening, and really hitting that head on. Finally, land use planning, and there's a bunch of aspects to this. Clean water is really important to me. Getting the habitat conservation plan done after all of these years and all this money that we've been given, and we still haven't drafted the plan. We have to get on top of this issue. Those are the three that I would identify. When it comes to rising income inequality, we know that one of the strongest defenses we have is the strength of our labor unions. And so there have been regional efforts to weaken that strength, and that is something that I would oppose, because we know that that is a recourse we have against the rising income inequality of the last 30 years. And again, I want to come back to housing, because this is something that I believe the county needs to take leadership on in working on, and understanding that it's a problem not just for those that are unsheltered, but 36% of our county are rent burdened. So more than a third of the people in our county are at risk for losing their housing. And this is critical that we focus not just on folks that don't have a roof over their head, although that's obviously a super important problem, but we look at the whole scope of the problem. Something that I learned doorbelling last week when I talked to a citizen was that the children in the school districts that are homeless, and this was told to me that it's an especially bad problem in North Thurston School District. They said there was 600 and some children. I thought that can't be right. Before I could even check the statistics, it's in the newspaper yesterday that it's actually, not only is that right, but those are old numbers, and it's gotten worse. 29% increase in unsheltered children in this state. The numbers aren't any different for this county. They went through each school district. It's appalling. And this is not an issue, it's not a problem, it's a crisis, folks. And this is the best way I think the county can get on board with trying to address income issues and inequality issues. Yes. I don't need 2 minutes, but back when I was a kid, we were called liberals. I guess now I've always been, ever since I was the 8th grade captain of the Walter Mondale debate team in my middle school. I couldn't find anyone else to do it. He was too liberal for my town. But I feel that I'm a progressive because one thing I felt Bernie Sanders' campaign did for us, and maybe it was in the wake of Trump, if there's any silver lining, but I feel he blazed a path for some bold policy changes. He made territory safe to say things that I never thought I could hear a politician say in my lifetime, and still win states at the national level. So I'm empowered to think bold and to think clearly and to think systemically about how we can really reorient some of our policies. Some of the things Victor said I'm in favor of, because I believe in justice reform. I believe we can do better with our county dollars and how we handle folks. 45% of the people in your jail are diagnosed with mental health issues. So if you believe that's the best use of your county dollars, you and I disagree. And so, it's a time to be bold. And I feel that the progressive movement in this country is doing that, and I want to be part of it, and I do consider myself a progressive Democrat. Collaboration and critical thinking.